Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Changing Room Thoughts. If you've got your video on, you could tell this is a very exciting moment because I'm recording at a real podcast studio. That's just kind of crazy to me because, I have my own little home setup, but Where is a bookstore, coffee shop slash podcasting studio in Lower East Side slash Soho, and they have the most beautiful little bookstore, but also they have very graciously allowed me to produce my podcast in here. So that is so huge. And yeah, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you all so much for supporting me and getting this podcast to where it's at right now. Hi, I'm Karina. If you're new here, my content is all about fashion, sustainability, technology, culture, politics, economics. Basically, if you've ever had a critical thought about the clothes that you put on your body, this podcast is for you. One more housekeeping item. I'm still doing this coffee table book giveaway on fashion history. So if you want to participate, just follow me on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. Share your favorite Changing Room Thoughts episode on your story or TikTok and just tag me and I'll enter you in for a drawing around Christmas. So today's episode, listen, it's already December. You know what that means. It's 2024 planning. I am a Virgo rising. I need to have my shit together all the time. I'm sure a good number of my fashion nerds are avid mood boarders, as am I. And if you're not, what else do you do during your manic girl Pinterest episodes? I was going to do a gift guide this episode, but then in trying to decide what to buy, I realized a far more interesting question, which is, how do I decide what I want? I don't just mean what's on my wish list, but how do I even decide what goes on the wish list? Which leads me to the point of today's episode, which is image making and personal style. I run a fashion podcast, and even I don't feel like I have a handle on my personal style and how I would like to define that. My hope is that this episode is useful for all the fashion girlies out there thinking about how to reinvent themselves for the new year. I hope that you guys can all follow along and join me in this self-reflecting, self-discovery journey. I'll definitely be sharing more about this throughout the next couple weeks / next year. The conversation around personal style can get a little muddled and hairy, and it can start to swirl. There's a lot of ways that we can talk about personal style. So in this episode, we're going to discuss the importance of personal style, particularly on TikTok. We're going to talk about what even is personal style, how do you define personal style, and then we're actually going to talk about the steps that I plan on taking that you can also take between now, December 10th and the end of the year, to set myself up for a very mindful and intentional next year of curating personal style, wardrobe, and self-expression. I feel like there's been so much more discussion on TikTok about personal style. It's more fulfilling of a style philosophy than just partaking in a trend cycle, and inherently more sustainable, which is true. But I find this discourse a little like a holier than thou. I'm different, I'm niche, I'm more of an individual, which I think is kind of a moot point sometimes because there's one layer deeper, which is the fact that all inspiration comes from another source. Developing personal style is a very fulfilling thing, but let's be honest with ourselves, even our own personal style is inspired by other people. That's the nature of inspiration in and of itself. If not something, you are following someone. So for example, while we think of Brenda Hashtag as a visionary with personal style, she has incredibly unique personal style. She also has style inspirations. She lists Corinne Reutefield as her own style inspiration. So everybody's got a somebody else. Everybody's got their own Brenda Hashtag, Corinne Reutefield. But I guess it's just important for you to ask yourself, who is that person for you? Yeah, just as much as the personal style is important discourse on TikTok, the no such thing as originality in fashion anymore is also equally relevant discourse on TikTok right now. So I take this whole personal style journey with a grain of salt. What even is personal style? There are thousands of articles. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen how to find your personal style on Cosmo, YouTube. Literally everyone has a different thing to say about how to find your personal style for some reason, but no one actually defines what is personal style. So I went through the very nerdy and unnecessary effort of going to find it in a dictionary. And personal style is not a word in the dictionary, but personal is an opinion, quality, or thing that belongs to or relates to one particular person rather than to other people. So key word being relating to one particular person rather than other people. You might find inspiration from Brenda Hashtag, Corinne Reutfield, Doja Cat, whatever. Taking inspiration from them might not be original, but that unique combination, that unique curation and amalgamation of inspirations based off of what you like is unique. That's the definition of personal. The definition of style, the general way in which something is done or presented, which often shows the attitudes of the people involved. So there's two sides to personal style. There's it being personal, it being very specific to you and your interests. Now, the definition of style, that's all about the self-expression. How do you convey your personhood to other people based off not just the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, the way you smell, the way you sound, like the way in which you do anything. Say, for example, for me, I love to do my nails, I like to DJ, and I like fashion. Like that unique combo of things that relates to me and maybe my identity as a Chinese American person. Maybe the fact that I like work a corporate 9 to 5. Maybe like all of these different things put together define my personhood when it comes to personal style. Now that we've defined personal style, we've talked about how one can start to think about personal style and their relationship to their wardrobe. What matters to me about my wardrobe? What matters to you about your wardrobe? If you like to perform, you like to DJ, do you need show pieces? Do you need lots of statement pieces? What percentage of comfort versus aesthetic are you willing to trade off? Some people are not willing to get into heels. I've realized I'm a heels girl. What matters to you about your wardrobe? For me, I think I need intentionality, ethical consumption, sustainable fashion as part of my wardrobe because I cannot feel good in the outfit or truly enjoy the slay if I know that there was some fuck shit behind how it was made and like now I'm putting it on my body and I'm thinking about it too much and like I probably do overthink. But what I've come to terms with is that I'm just not going to like it as much. So I need it to be ethical / supporting an emerging designer or a good cause, and it has to slay. I want to slay in my PJs. I hate just getting a basic button up because I need one, because I need to like go to the office in this. No, if I'm going to get a white button up, I better be freaking excited about that button up. Everything has to slay. I want to slay even in my PJs. Okay. So those are the things that matters to me about my wardrobe. Ethical consumption / sustainable consumption. It has to slay. How do you actually curate personal style? Where does one take inspiration from to curate their personal style that isn't just trend mongering and developing style through osmosis of other people's very strong personal style? Now, on TikTok, you'll find lots of different frameworks for how to find your personal style. So some people do the pick 3 words, like 3 core words should be able to define or help unify your personal style. I've tried doing this exercise before and I came up with like the most vague 3 words, which is woman, city, sexy. Those were my 3 words last year, I think. I was very inspired by Samantha Jones from Sex and the City, and I loved the idea of the liberated city girl that's just into fashion, into being not just sexy looking, but a sexy person, a spicy person. Okay, so here's the game plan I propose for leveling up the wardrobe in 2024. This is loosely following Soy Raka's methodology for building a designer wardrobe on a budget. If you don't follow him on TikTok, highly recommend it. He has incredible style and the most amazing curation of pieces, super high quality production. I think he is widely appealing, whether you are male, female, non-binary. He has an amazing approach to style, which I really respect. Okay, so number 1, setting yourself up. First of all, before you get into all of this, there are some fundamental philosophies that we all have to imbibe in order to healthily interact with such expensive and luxurious clothing. Number 1, a designer wardrobe is a want, not a need. I'm definitely privileged enough to be at the point where I don't need anything. Like, I don't need any more clothes. I have comfortable clothes. I have work appropriate clothes. I have clothes that can take me to the gym and back. I have everything I need. So everything I buy from here going forward is just nice to have, which means like if it's nice to have, I do not want to be compromising on any of the things that I value in a wardrobe. Number 1 being the slayage, and number 2 being the ethical aspect of it. Second point of setting yourself up for success. A designer wardrobe is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't rush and enjoy the process. Definitely echoing this, like I'm really excited to give give another shot at purchasing higher priced designer items, because the last time I partook in this, I went off the rails and like did not approach it from a very mature, sustainable way. And I want to be very intentional about it moving forward. So now that we have like kind of the mental figured out, our approach to even like thinking about our wardrobes solidified, here's where we can start some fundamental actions to make that dream a reality. The first action that Soy recommended is to set a budget. Crazily enough, I've never set a budget before. Not me being financially sustainable fashion girly. Okay, so to be transparent, I think my clothing budget is gonna be $200 a month for clothes, $600 quarterly, and $2,400 a year on clothes. I think this is a pretty conservative estimate. And I'll probably check in and adapt this like once a quarter. But honestly, I don't really find myself going over this amount. I bought like $300 worth of new clothes this month, and I didn't buy anything in November. And I also bought one thing in October. And so I think that is a pace I can keep up with. But I am just saying this to be transparent so that we can all have like, I don't know, get more comfortable with the idea of being honest about how much we're spending on clothes. The second thing that we're going to do that is currently in progress for me is create a mood board and research designer brands that speak to me. I've started pinning things. You can use Pinterest, you can use Instagram, you can save things on TikTok. There's lots of different ways to do this, but my plan is to gather images from all over the internet, save them, stick them in a Canva to make a collage, and then I kind of want to print it out and like put it in my room somewhere, put it as my phone background. Now, I feel like when it comes to the mood board, this is where it can get a little squishy, because what I want to avoid is using other influencers as inspiration too much, because I feel like that's when you can start to get into like the trend, like relying on the trend cycle a little bit too much, because social media, the pace of social media works very quickly, and there are so many influencers pushing out content at a great volume that it can be hard to differentiate what is something that is trending or being promoted by that influencer or sponsored by the company that supports that influencer versus something that is genuinely like something I like and resonate with aesthetically. So one challenge that I have for myself is finding inspiration that's not an influencer, that isn't like just purely off of social media. I have a couple methods that I'm going to try that I think are really fun that I also encourage you to try as well. Number one, you can use fashion collections and designers. So for example, for me, Claude Montana, 90s Versace, Emmanuel Ungaro, they just evoke a sense of nostalgia in me that's quite sentimental. And that is a very strong feeling and indication that that would be right for you. You can also really respect a designer's design philosophy. For example, McQueen's penchant for dark beauty is one that I'm not sure I would actually wear, but I can really appreciate. Or Rick Owens' dedication to architectural, well-constructed, and understated luxury. Another source of inspiration that's not just fashion itself can be media, like movies, music videos, music. So in a movie, for example, you can love the way a character carries themselves and want to emulate that energy through your style, through your self-expression. So for example, Blair Waldorf. The way she takes herself so seriously and maintains such like a high maintenance, high standard lifestyle is reflected in the very proper yet slightly suggestive way in which she dresses. From two-tone blazers to lace tights that cover her legs yet are ultimately see-through. It is sexy yet modest. And that's something that I really respect and have been really liking lately, is suggestive but still modest ways to dress. But another one of my favorites is Samantha Jones from Sex and the City. I really resonate with and connect with her character because she is very sexually liberated, well-connected, and incredibly successful. And I tend to dress like her sometimes too, like lots of low-rise flare jeans, backless halters, very Y2K. It is a bit of like aspirational, almost like method dressing. It's kind of like the old adage, dress for the job you want or dress for the role you want, except applied to every aspect of my life. A third source of inspiration that isn't social media that you could use is artwork. So I really like Gustav Klimt. All the metallics of his work, his gold leaf that he uses throughout his paintings, combined with his portraiture, it's just so beautifully like Art Deco, maximalist, fun. it makes me realize that something I really enjoy about fashion is romance and drama. And of course, you can also find inspiration from nature. For example, cherries were a big inspiration for me this fall. A dark, brooding red, like my nails, was something that I was very interested in. That's not unique. A lot of other people were loving red this season, but it is something that was really appealing to me. Lately, a color that I've been very interested in is lime green. It's obviously more of like a spring color, but I've experimented with other kinds of greens before, like a Kelly green. Obviously, we've seen Bottega green. But yeah, I'm kind of curious about like lime green. I don't see it that often, and it's kind of a refreshing color in my opinion. And lastly, you can take inspiration from your immediate surroundings. I think being in New York and being in Brooklyn has definitely affected my sense of style, whether that just be from seeing the people like around my neighborhood, across the street. I live somewhere where there are so many creatives, and it's very inspiring to see how they might be layering lots of chunky jewelry, might be wearing like paint splattered jeans, and it just kind of opens your mind to how other people are able to express themselves. And living in New York has unlocked an appreciation for a city chic aesthetic that I had not previously had. Yeah, so maybe one reflective exercise that you could do is people watch. Maybe when you're on a self date or something like that, or you're just at a restaurant and you notice, ooh, like I really like this person's jacket, or, oh, I really like the way that they have stacked this jewelry. Take note of that, and maybe that's something that you can incorporate into your own personal style. Once I have a vision board, it makes deciding what to put on my wish list a lot more clear, and it'll be easier to narrow down brands with a similar aesthetic that I can start to track. Then the third thing I'm gonna do is to examine my wardrobe and figure out what's missing. For example, I was missing a pair of black denim for the longest time. I think I could use a pair of rain boots. And this is where I deviate a little bit from Soy's recommendation. In addition to figuring out like what holes I have in my closet, I also really want to do a closet clean out. Once my mood board is done, I'll use that vision to compare all the clothes that I currently have and sort of clean out the things that are no longer serving that vision, just because I want to not feel the frustration of going up to my closet and feeling like I either have nothing to wear even though I have so much stuff, or that there are just distracting items in my closet that is deviating from my intended vision. Plus, if you're able to resell some of your items, that can turn into profit, which you can reinvest back into more clothes. So win-win. Sometimes it can be a bit daunting going up to your closet and then figuring out like, okay, how do I even decide what to keep and what to get rid of? I think I saw this on TikTok. A creator by the name of Caitlin James, I believe. She's a closet clean out expert, something like that. She recommends that when you're getting dressed and you're looking through your clothes, you're trying something on, if there's a piece of clothing that you don't like for any reason, the zipper is annoying, it doesn't fit right, it's the wrong color, leave it on the floor instead of putting it back into your closet. When you leave it on the floor, it incentivizes you to get rid of it because it looks cluttered and annoying and you would want to get rid of it. So then, after setting up a financial framework, a visual framework, and a literal physical framework where you have space in your closet and you're aware of it, aware of what holes you need to fill, the fun part is actually going and finding the clothes. So this is where I'm going to start creating wish lists across Essence, The RealReal, Vestiaire, all of the sites that I usually shop on. And my wish list has never been curated enough such that when I go to Black Friday, I'm like, I know exactly what I want, or like when I wait for a sale season, I know exactly like what to watch out for. This year, I want that to be different because I want to take advantage of the fact that I know what I want in advance to the sale actually happening. So after creating the wish list, I'm going to wait for good sales, wait for a good deal. Yeah, hopefully be able to curate my wardrobe even further. Those are all of the steps I'm going to take between now and the end of December to further curate a very intentional wardrobe for 2024. I wish all the fashion girlies the best of luck in finding your personal style. It's definitely always a work in progress and kind of a living, breathing beast. So that is also something to consider. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you end up doing any of these, / let me know how your self-reflections are going on your personal style, what you've got planned or want to do in the upcoming new year, what aesthetics you're trying to embody in the new year. And I'll see you next Monday for a very exciting episode, hopefully with some exciting guests. See you next Monday. Bye.